Hello everyone and welcome to ASEAN Education World channel. Well, we have seen in one of the previous videos how to write to text files in Python using the open and write methods. But the process of writing to the disk is slow, and to speed it up a little bit, instead of calling the system on each write operation, a buffer is used, and the data is kept in the buffer as a chunk of information. Once this buffer is getting full, or once the file is closed, then the data is flushed automatically from the buffer. So if for any reason we don't or we can't wait for these two reasons to occur, and we want the data to be flushed at time t during the program execution, we can do it by using the flush method. The syntax is pretty simple. It's file object dot flush open and closed parentheses. It has no parameter and will not return any value. So let's see some examples. Okay, we will open a file, a new file. We call it flush code, for example, .py. Okay. So this is a built-in method, the flush method. No need to import any special module. We'll just open a new file and we'll call it, we'll give it a name. Okay, please.txt. I don't know why I have chosen this name, but it doesn't matter. We just give it a name and we use the write mode, and then we can add a for loop for I in range okay, let's say 1000 to 1000. Sorry, 1000. So for I in range from 1 to 1000, what we will do, we will write to our file. We will write hello, for example. So this is an example of writing to a file without closing the file and without flushing. So let's see what will happen, what will be the result if we run our code now. Okay, so you can see there is a file created here, but what if I open this file and you see it's empty? It's empty. This is because we didn't close our file. So what was executed here? The file was created, was opened, but still not written inside this file. And here we will understand more the notion of buffer. So this 1000 times repeated hello world are still in the buffer. So to see the difference, we will add one line after this, and we will use the flush method. So the object will be our file, which we have opened and written into, and we will use the flush without any arguments. Okay, so let's run our code again. Okay, it's executed, but okay, and you see here our file is not empty anymore. It was written, even if we didn't close the file yet. We didn't use the close file method, but it was written because we have used the file object flush method. We have pushed the data from the buffer into the disk. We have forced this behavior using the flush method. Okay, until now I hope that everything is clear, but is that enough to ensure that the data is written to the disk after using the flush method? Well, not really. In fact, there are two types of buffers. The internal buffers are the ones we have seen just now. They're used by the program itself. So when we write to a file, we are writing to this buffer. But the OS has also its own buffers, its operating system buffer. And for this reason, there is another method called os.fsync method, and in order to use it, we will need to import the OS module first. This module will let us interact with the OS operating system. Let's look for the description of this method in Python documentation. You may find something similar to the following description if you do search in the Python documentations. So from the first sentence, you can see that we already have the feeling that there is something missing with the flush method. In fact, when the flush method is executed, the data is flushed from the internal buffer, which is used by the program, and copied to the OS buffers before they are written to the disk. fsync works on a file descriptor. This fd is the file descriptor and not the file object. And to use the file descriptor as an argument of the fsync, so first we need to know what is a file descriptor. It is an integer used in an OS table. It is allocated to the file, and each corresponding entry in the table is containing some information about the file. I just want to add that it is not necessary to use os.fsync method all the time. We can just let the OS do its job with its own buffer and write the data to the disk. But there might be some special cases, especially if we really worry about system crashes and losing the information. In this case, os.fsync can be useful to ensure that everything in the OS buffer is in fact written to the disk. So if you want to know the file descriptor value of a file, you can use the file no method. This method has no parameters, and it will return the integer value of the file descriptor. So here we type in our file object and followed by the file no method. This will return the file descriptor of our file. So it is used in the underlying implementation to request the I/O operation from operating system. We can see one example. So we can see one example. We will use the same code we've used previously, and we will add here the OS fsync method. So here inside what we will put is file v of and the file descriptor of this of our file object. We need first to import the OS module because the fsync is a method belonging to the OS module. We can also add a variable, let's call it filled, and give it assign to it the file descriptor number. This is just for us to print it and see an example of how to find the file descriptor of a given file. So we will print it. We'll print our variable and close. File v. We'll close our file. So this should not be indented. I will dedent region. Okay. So we will flush our data when this for loop has finished execution, and after this we will use the OS fsync to flush the data from the OS buffer this time, and then we will print the file descriptor of our file. So we will not see the effect of the fsync method because we cannot see it if it's really flushed to the disk from the OS buffer, but this is to see how we use the method inside the Python code. So let's run our code, save, and it was run without any error, and it gave us this value, which is the file descriptor of our object file v. In this case it is 3. It's always an integer. So that's the end of this video. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If it's the case, please like the video and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications about the new videos in Hazian Education World channel. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.